Hey guys, so last Sunday was a tournament, best out of three. Went 4-0 undefeated with Cooler. Really happy about it, to be honest. It's my first place win outside of locals with him. And my matchups were against Finn. Second round was against Universe 7 Goku. Third round was against King Piccolo. And fourth round was against Blue Boo. Yes, I know it's really hard to imagine going for first place against Blue Boo, but the guy actually went and played his deck really well. So my build is a bit wackier in some aspects than others, mostly because I run the 5-cost Frieza. But most of it is the pretty usual stuff. I'ma show you everything and just explain why I used some cards and why I didn't use others. So 4 of the Cooler, they're a staple for the deck, of course. 4 of the Boo, just to add in some more minusing mill, and it draws 1 when you play it, not only when you minus something from the Cooler effects, as well as it can bring the Cooler back to my hand, so it's pretty good. Only 2 of these, because it costs 3 energy to play, and it returns to your hand on its own with its effect, so you don't really need more than 2. I think that's enough. Of course, the Beerus Super Combo, which I will be foiling out soon, if the collector's editions actually come to Bulgaria. The 4 Energy Exhaust Ignoring Freezes. And this is where my build goes a bit different. I use 4 Mutable Menace, 3 Frieza Colossal Dynamo. Now, if you're not using Mutable Menace, there's no reason to use this card. Like, it's just 2 energy to mill 3, 2 for free and 1 if you lower. But with Mutable Menace you play him for only 1 energy. So that's actually really good because for 1 energy he automatically mills 2 and you lower one of his cards by 5k. And you play a 19k blocker on the field, which is good on its own, but I also run 3 of these Frieza. In the recent meta there's a lot of removal in the game, so anytime this one gets killed or this one, I just want it back in my hand, and that's why we have the Frieza. As well as, the whole reason is so we have 6 3-cost Friezas to use for his effect and bring out the full power 100% overdrive Frieza. This card is amazing. Even though it was errated not to affect tokens, it still adds 2 to your mill for every card you lower, as well as clears the board through barrier, so given that you can play him with Mutable Menace for only 2 energy, I think it's more than worth it to play the card. And actually the whole tournament, I think almost in every single round I played this one, and it brought a lot to my wins. Only against Finn I had a lot of difficulties and couldn't play him because anything I played was just eaten. And the guy didn't really play any battle cards, so I had to just spam out the board and rely on my self-defense to aggro him to death, which it works because I do have a lot of mode strikers, but it's not the easiest thing to do. So now for the defense portion, I run 2 Violent Rays just because if I see that the opponent side decks a lot of counter plays, I want guaranteed negates, and 3 Ocean Shenron, Negative Energy Explosion. Now, I find the 3 are enough, to be honest. I play them again every single round, every single matchup, and it's a really good card, especially for this deck. It's a floodgate. Every time your opponent attacks, you can they have to mill 4 cards in order for their attack to go through. So that's an amazing card. If you have 4, you can run 4. Just that I have 3 and I'm not really in the mood to pay 20 euro for a 4th. So for now this is it. I run 2 after image. You could also run testing the opposition, but first turn, if your opponent just plays something that helps him free play, like a random 1 cost, or against King Piccolo, actually this helped me remove on the first turn the 1 cost Piccolo and the I don't remember what the name was, but it's the fat pterodactyl thing, right? Yeah. Then we run 4 Senzu Bean because most of the time, either against aggro decks I want plus 5k on my leader, or I just want to return an energy to do my combos. Just a really good card. For the Unison portion, I run the secret rare SS3 Gotenks, just because it enters field through barrier everything 25k, I mean the battle cards. If I want to end the game with him and I think the opponent can't stop his attacks, I just spam out 2 40k triple strike attacks, so that's pretty good. It withstands, has blocker, and his auto effect is that when my opponent attacks with a battle card, I lower it by 25k. So that's again really good. Usually before I didn't run other Unisons. I'm not really a Unison fan, but recently with the slowing down of the meta, I did find that the Jiren Unison is really good. I have a lot of use for him. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have won against Finn, I'll tell you that much. Against the other matchups, he wasn't really a big factor. I almost didn't play him at all, but against Finn and decks that don't rely on battle cards, Jiren is the way to go. I use him 3 times, but you could go for 4 if you want to go above 50 cards. My whole deck is 50 cards overall, so I just want to fit everything in. Then 2 Videls. Yamcha is also a choice, but I chose Videl just because it's a bigger lower. It's 20k and Jiren does have a lot of markers. Not many people want to swing down 20k. So now for the blue cards, I added 2 Janembas. Again, same reason, meta slowed down a lot. I get to 4th turn every single game I do. And he just plays for 1 energy, and that's a good enough reason. 1 energy, 20k critical, and 3 mil too. I mean, it's a good enough reason. Now, there are some cards that are missing from the usual decks. I would like to explain why I'm missing them and why I chose the exact cards that I did. So I have 5 blue cards that are 5k and 6 red cards that are 5k. Ideally, I don't need to use them for combos, but below 5 blue cards I will never run, just because there are some decks that remove my combo, and sadly he is not enough, and not every time I can afford to just randomly combo one of my 1+10,000s. So in those rare cases I use them as combo. And now the cards that I didn't run, and some people will tell me that I'm a fool for not doing so. First of all, the 3-cost Cooler, that when he swings, he combos with one for free from the drop. That Cooler recently, every single time I played him, somebody removed him instantly. Nobody wants him on the field, and to be honest, when I play Cooler, I play like a parasite. I never do anything in my turn except with Unisons. Everything I do is in the opponent's turn, and having that Cooler in the opponent's turn is kind of useless. I chose with Frieza just because he returns to my hand from the drop. So my play is overall very passive, and I find it to be quite effective. Second of all, the 1-cost Frieza. Ever since it came out, people have been hyping it to me a lot. I used it, I hate it, I will never use it again. The only time I found actual use for it was with the Dark Broly deck, the one that spans 6 costs. There is no reason, in my opinion, to run it. If it gets played, there's a lot of removal, it's very cheap these days. It will just be instantly removed. You just draw one and potentially one more, but it's really not worth it in my case, in my opinion. If you want to run it, like, I won't tell you it's a bad idea, just I personally would never run it. So yeah, this is basically my deck. I did find a lot of success with these last few tournaments. The worst thing I got was, I think, second or third place again at the bigger tournament. And I do have a side deck actually. I don't really use it. There's only one matchup in which I used my side deck this last tournament. It was against King Piccolo, and I added these. Why? Because I just wanted plus 5k on my leader and to lower one of his 1 cost by 5. That's the only reason. Actually, the reason I use this card in my side deck is because of Agents of Destruction. If you remove the Babidi and add 5k to your leader, most often they end their turn. If they spam out 20ks, you can add another 5k or just combo them, lower them, anything. It's really not a problem against agents. Use Pill of the Cunning just because I don't return energy on my turn, only on my opponent's turn. So it doesn't stop my play, but it confuses for a little bit the opponent and stops their play if they're playing blue. Then I added 2 Realm of the Gods Ultra Instinct. If somebody spams out 30k or 25k, anything of that sort in the first 2 turns, I admit I do have difficulties milling them that early. So this is, for example, against Gogeta thwarting the Dark Empire. Just remove him and you're safe for one more turn. Now, this card, usually there's not much of a reason to play it. Maybe against Android 16, but I have PTSD from a player in my club who actually played androids quite a lot, and ever since a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years, this has always been in my side deck. So I'm not removing it for anything unless I find something that I need more at the current time. The other thing I'm running is Bardock Fully Unleashed. I've never actually used him so far from my side deck, but there are decks in my club that I know people use which it would be useful against, and when I get that matchup, he will be useful. The other thing is Quitsukai Mechanical Courage. It's an overall really good card if I get a mirror match, which hasn't happened so far, but I'm sure it will one day. He actually is really annoying to deal against. If somebody runs a rival deck, same thing. If somebody has a lot of battle card counterplays like yellow, very good. Yeah, basically anything you want to play during my turn and would screw me over, this thing helps me a lot. So yeah, that was the deck I ran. I'm really happy with it, and see you guys in the next one.